Ladies and gentlemen, this is fascinating. On page 4 of the latest filing, the Durham probe, John Durham, the special counsel, removes the alleged attorney-client privilege that Michael Sussman and the Democratic Party, the Clinton campaign, have tried to use to keep about 1,455 documents pertaining to Fusion GPS and the tech executive, the Democratic Party, Hillary for America. So there's well over around 1,455 pages that they want to withhold. And they claim, well, look, this is attorney-client privilege. But if you read here, on page 4 of the latest filing, here, by contrast, the government does not seek to establish any specific inferences, much less prejudicial ones, about the substance of legal advice that the defendant conveyed to Tech Executive 1 or the Clinton campaign, beyond the subject matter of that advice. Rather, it seeks to establish the existence of advice-giving relationships concerning the Russia Bank 1 allegations, the Alpha Bank allegations. And unlike in the cases that the defendant cites, the alleged crime here indisputably concerns and centers upon the existence of such relationships. Because attorney-client privilege information cannot itself be reviewed by the government or presented to the jury, this non-privileged header information is in many instances the government's best and in some cases the only available evidence that particular communications occurred. What Durham is saying, and he goes on to talk about the fact that you can't hide behind attorney-client privilege if you're committing a crime or if you're doing something corrupt. And you simply can't if you know that you're conveying information, because Durham has the emails, the text messages. These people were talking about using every dirty trick because they had to create. The Central Intelligence Agency stated it was user-created data. Brennan still accepted it. But the information that Sussman and Tech Executive 1 and those researchers, 5 of whom have now pleaded the 5th, this is a very important segment. Share this everywhere and hit subscribe to this channel. The information that they gave to the Federal Bureau of Investigation and other agencies, whether it was James Baker or anyone else, the Comey's top legal counsel at that agency or anyone else within the government, if they gave information they knew to be false, and John Durham knows from their communication that they were conspiring and working to fabricate an absurd narrative. That's what they were doing. They're talking amongst themselves in this communication within the Sussman indictment about just finding some inference, some way to link Trump to an absurd narrative. And within the indictment, within the factual background that they tried to delete or get the judge to remove, and they were unsuccessful, within the factual background, Durham lists all the information, all the text messages and messages stating, hey, you know what? This isn't going to fly. This isn't going to, we're going to have public scrutiny with anybody from anyone that knows anything about cybersecurity. So we just need some kind of, inference. We need to paint Trump in some manner, whether or not it's true. That's the issue. And hit subscribe to this channel right now. That's a corrupt, illegal act. You can't just make things up. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You can't just, it doesn't matter if you're a tech executive or an attorney, whatever. You can't just make things up and give it to the government to frame somebody. Are you kidding? Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. Ladies and gentlemen, every day I will do 1 to 3 segments on the Stock Market Crash channel. That's below in the pinned comment. Watch the latest segment. Unfortunately, we're going to have a devastating crash, and I predicted that last October. I predicted everything that's taking place in terms of the economy. Skyrocketing inflation. We're heading into a recession. Read the Federalist article that I wrote in October of last year. That's below in the pinned comment. Also, watch my latest segment in the Indict and Imprison 45 channel. So I have this channel, almost 200,000 subs. Tell your friends, please subscribe. I have the Indict and Imprison 45 channel, pure comedy and satire. I pretend to be an MSNBC pundit, basically, or a wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrat who thinks that Trump needs to be indicted. And so subscribe to that channel, and please subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below. So 3 channels. This one is almost at 200,000 subs, and I'm growing the other 2 channels. So you can have, 3 different sides of yours truly every day. And if you want to support my work, my Patreon is below. So Durham, what he's doing is pretty amazing, and they can't just hide 1,400. So this is a New York Post article. In his request, Durham revealed that out of 1,455 documents withheld by Fusion GPS under claimed attorney-client privilege or work product protections, only 18 emails attached actually involve an attorney. So that's also information that almost certainly links Fusion GPS to the tech executive or researchers, or the researcher that has immunity now for testifying. So there's a researcher that's going to testify. 5 have pleaded the 5th. The tech executive is a subject of this investigation. He has not been criminally charged, but you're going to see attorneys, possibly the tech executive. Eventually, you're going to see more attorneys at that law firm eventually indicted. The reason is because you just simply cannot. I mean, that's under 18 U.S. Code 371, but there are other statutes too. You can't simply hide behind attorney-client privilege to break the law. If your attorney is committing a crime or helping you commit a crime, then they can't hide behind attorney-client privilege. If they're helping you deceive the government, let's say there's no statute for what they're doing, but they're helping you deceive the government, that still doesn't fly with the special counsel. What happened is they gave information to these government agencies they knew was either false or fabricated or, a stretch. They were paid by the Democratic Party and the Clinton campaign for a specific purpose. That's the whole point. The purpose was to set up and frame Trump. That's within the Igor Danchenko indictment, the Kleinsmith indictment, and the Sussman indictment. 3 indictments thus far. In addition, you can look at the Democratic donor that was arrested and charged with heinous crimes, in prison for decades now. Lieutenant Governor of New York, who was indicted. So, I mean, you can look. And I heard one person say, well, you know what, the Republicans are worse. No, they're not. I'm not, believe me. The never-Trumpers, like Liz Cheney or Kinzinger and all, they voted like over 90% of the time for Trump. Mitt Romney, it's like, I would much rather have Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat, than any of those people. I'm not bound by political party. I like DeSantis, I like Donald Trump, and I like the fact that Donald Trump fights. Bernie Sanders doesn't know how to fight. He's part of the system that He's part of the system that he claimed to try and oppose, but he really propped it up. What the left does, and what Democrats do, is they say, sure, Medicare for all, yeah, one day. Oh, yes, we have to fight this injustice, these systemic issues. You created them. What good is pushing for an eviction moratorium if you're also preventing families from working? You shut down the economy, directly causing the skyrocketing inflation, and then you still obsess over it 2 years later. So why did you do it in the first place? The whole point was, listen to us. We know what we're talking about. You must listen to us. And still, nothing they do I mean, everything they do leads to these repercussions and consequences that are catastrophic. The adults are in charge, and now, of course, you have the worst geopolitical nightmare in European history, or modern European history. And they have found a way to just circumvent blame and responsibility somehow. Somehow, Max Boot at the Washington Post found a way to blame Trump. I don't know how. Mashed potato brains waived sanctions on Nord Stream 2 and refused the president of that country's request to join the alliance in Europe. Okay, we can go on forever. Could have negotiated. I don't even want to get into it. But it didn't happen under Trump for many reasons. But again, we're talking about the Durham Probe Special Counsel. Within that filing, page 4, there's other pages as well. In the latest filing, where the Durham Probe, it's memorandum in opposition regarding Sussman motion, he wants to utilize evidence. Of course, Sussman's team doesn't want them to utilize evidence. They don't, for some reason, this man's lawyers, they don't think that the fact he gave information that was fabricated to the United States government is a big deal. Obviously, everyone at the Federal Bureau of Investigation working on this just wanted a pretext, just like Brennan and Clapper and Comey and Strzok and McCabe. They all just wanted a pretext. See, the government was in on it also, or government officials loyal to Clinton or mashed potato brains Biden or whatever. They were in on it. They worked with people. Well, that would be Clinton campaign, the Democratic Party 2016. They worked with people knowing that those people were just giving them anything. Okay, there was hysteria. It's not even like I was reading the Washington Post, and then I forgot who the writer was, but they said, well, it was worth a look. No, it wasn't worth a healthy look. I think the quote was a healthy look. You cannot investigate an incoming president based on the opposition research of his direct political rival. You also can't investigate, let's say there was no intelligence, by the way, found within the United States government about Trump. If you want to say yes, there was, you still can't investigate somebody based on what quote-unquote intelligence agencies say about them. Because intelligence agencies will always have disclaimers, high to moderate confidence assessments. So you can have intelligence says that this country wants you to know how corrupt Democrats are. They've spun everything in the most absurd, overtly obvious, overtly absurd and most obvious propaganda spin. Don't you know? Intelligence has said that other countries are going to interfere again. Well, how are they going to interfere? No, telling us about Hunter's emails? I mean, the New York Post and Daily Mail broke those stories. We couldn't talk about them because social media algorithms are basically controlled by the Democratic Party. So you have intel officials say, you can't know how corrupt Democrats are. Well, that myth started with Sussman and Christopher Steele and Glenn Simpson and the Clinton campaign, the Democratic Party. And that's, in a way, that's one of the reasons I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. You think I'm nuts after, this whole 14-minute, rant. I want Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. I will be the happiest person on the planet, and I'll tell you why. Well, I can go on forever. We're still living in 2016. We need to exercise those demons. We need a Hillary Clinton 2024 and a Donald Trump 2024, and let them go at it again. And I'm confident in Trump's chances. I'd vote for Trump a million times over. Record low unemployment, record low Black and Latino unemployment, First Step Act, Doha Agreement, Abraham Accords, first president to step foot in North Korea. These are all great things. Infinitely better than what we're seeing now. Record highs in inflation, gas prices, energy prices through the roof. I mean, objectively, your life is not better now. Objectively, it's worse in many ways. Hopefully, your personal life is even better. Your happiness, you're just as happy or happier. But in terms of the economy, in terms of foreign policy, okay, things are worse. Objectively worse. Like, you can go down inflation, we're heading into a recession. It's objectively worse. You can't say things are better under mashed potato brains. And then the new spin is, well, there's nothing he can do. It's like, no, these policies, the reason we're experiencing it is because of his policy. He came in wanting to combat climate change and then jettisoned all of that immediately after he realized, hey, you know what? Oil and gas, these are geopolitical, these are important in terms of geopolitics. So, oh, gosh. He had no plan. It's just his plan was not Trump. I'm not Trump. That was his plan. And that doesn't work. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. You can't hide behind attorney-client privilege when you're committing crimes. Sorry. Hit subscribe to this channel. Watch right now the stock market crash channel below in the pinned comment and the latest Indict and Imprison 45.